Good morning and welcome to the Geelong Cricket Show from our great city of Geelong. Yes, we love you up there in that northern suburb of Geelong called Melbourne. This is where we play the best cricket down here in Geelong. Joining me at the table of knowledge this morning, he writes it, he talks it, he plays it, he loves it, Tim Mitchell.
Yeah, thanks Graham. Great to be here on another fine Saturday morning and looking forward to getting out there today against Ocean Grove. Sweltered up at Barrable but did just enough to get a win, so looking forward to finals, and it certainly is getting down to the business end in all the cricket competitions down here in Geelong, and looking forward to seeing what teams start to prosper as well at this pointy end of the season across all the competitions.
And Tim, while we're with you, a great result yesterday for Andrei Borovic and the Geelong boys in the under-16 Dowling Shield.
I should say last Sunday, Graham, that result was, but it certainly was a fantastic result for the boys. Jake Gibbs batting under a lot of duress, 88 not out. He finished with Merrick Buchanan setting up that win, the skipper, with 1 for 30 off his 10 overs, a tight bowling performance. So great for the Geelong boys to put that Dowling Shield away, and certainly just another trophy to go in that trophy cabinet, along with the under-18s win that happened a couple of years ago as well.
Our special guest this morning, well, he knows all about the Dowling Shield. He played as in the under-16 Dowling Shield for Melbourne when they were runners-up to St Kilda in the first ever Dowling Shield. A very warm welcome to the Geelong Cricket Association's now leading run maker with 10,560 runs, Alf Clark. Good morning, Alf. How are you, mate?
Good morning, Graham. Good to be here and ready to talk some cricket.
How long ago's that Dowling Shield game stand out in the memory?
It's a long time ago, Graham, but good memories, and we actually got beaten in the final that year, but those things happen in cricket.
Great to see the competition of the under-16 Dowling Shield continue to develop and produce great names in our game of cricket. Looking at the world of Premier Cricket, Geelong taking on Essendon up at Windy Hill, and after being 5 for 121 with top scorers Tom Elliott and Liam Buchanan back in the pavilion, the tail wagged and wagged well. Well done, Carso, leading the tail and led Geelong to 197. And Essendon resume at no wicket for 3. It's going to be a very, very even battle up there at Windy Hill, Tim.
Yeah, it certainly is evenly poised after the first day of play. If you look barely or just purely at the scoreboard, you'd say 197 is probably not going to be enough, considering that Chris Rogers, obviously such a fantastic batsman who's got an Australian Test caps part of that Essendon side. And I know, speaking to Andrei Borovic, the Cats realise that he's the big wicket, but it certainly was a lot slower than that scoreboard does indicate up at Windy Hill. The pitch doing a few things a little bit up and down, so if the Cats bowlers can utilise that new ball, maybe grab 2 or 3 early wickets, including the vital one of Rogers, then I think they'll set themselves on the way to victory, Graham. And boy, do they need a win, sitting 7th at the moment, with a lot of sides that logjam still from about 7th to 10th, and 4 sides really competing for those 2 spots in the lower part of the top 8.
Now, off the pressure from your perspective on Premier Cricket, Geelong first 11, as Tim has mentioned, the log jam. St Kilda seemed to be the only side out on top. They made 9 for 359 last week. They look to be leading well, but again, finals a different question. Geelong have got to get there.
Well, you're right, Graham, and next Saturday, early wickets determines how their season's going to pan out, and get the early wickets on the board, and anything can happen, and they've just got to continue to win.
Continue to win. That's the message from the Geelong Cricket Show to Damien Shanahan and his charges down there at the Premier Cricket Club of Geelong. Go Cats, as we always say, turning our attention to the world of the Bellarine Peninsula Cricket Association. And boy, is she hotting up. 2 rounds to go. Round 10 and round 11 in the Division 1 first 11 matches. And this weekend, none better than the clash between Queenscliff and Port Arlington. Tim, this is going to be a really important game for both sides.
It certainly is. It's an important game for both sides, Graham, and also an important game for a lot of sides also in that top 6, one that potentially shapes and allows a few of the sides to cement their place in the top 6. You look at Barwon Heads' game against Ocean Grove that's also starting today. If Barwon Heads can win that game and Port Arlington lose, it then leaves Barwon Heads 9 points clear of Port Arlington, meaning that their game against Wallington, it takes a little bit of pressure off because they'll have sewed up their spot in the top 6. So not only is it important for Queenscliff and Port Arlington, obviously 2 sides, Queenscliff sitting 3rd at the moment and Port Arlington in 6th, to sew up their top 6 spots, but across the competition it could end up being a game that decides where a lot of teams do finish with only 2 rounds to go in the BPCA. So a lot of the clubs are certainly going to be watching the outcome of that one down at Queenscliff.
And Tim, I think it's fair to say the Cooters have been making Rollo eat this ball after he selected a few weeks ago that they may not even make the six.
Yeah, a little bit of humble pie for you, Rollo, from being cooked up down at Queenscliff. They played some really good cricket after Christmas. Obviously, had the bye last weekend, and that's one thing that I think still needs to be fixed up if you are looking at that BPCA ladder. Queenscliff are one of only about 2 or 3 clubs to receive the 6 points for the bye, so don't get deceived. Hopefully we'll have that one fixed up before the finals do come. Obviously only 3 or 4 weeks before that final 6 is decided, so hopefully that can be worked out. But Queenscliff are stringing some good form together, and I would be backing them in at home, Graham, to beat Port Arlington in that game.
In the world of Bellarine Football League, we always know the clash of Bowen Heads and Ocean Grove is a battle of the bridge, and there's no reason for it to be the battle of the bridge in the game of cricket. Bowen Heads, your boys, unbiasedly now, Tim.
Yeah, well, Ocean Grove are carrying a little bit of form into this one, Graham, considering that they did knock off Bowenheads in the 2020 last Friday night, so they'll take a little bit of confidence in, but the Bowenheads batsmen having put 360 on the board up at Barrable, they'll come back to Bowenheads knowing that the form line's extremely good. I think that was probably the one worry for the Seagulls, that they just needed a couple of batsmen to really put those big scores together. Jason Mallett and Sam Shallow standing out against Barrable, and I think those two will be our big players again in hopefully what will be a win for Bowenheads in that one.
Wellington coming up against Barrable at Barrable. Wellington on a roll, 2 in a row. Can they make it a hat-trick?
They certainly are, but Barrable, don't discount them. They're a quality side and sitting 7th at the moment, so they'll be very keen to bounce back. Almost chased down the 370 set for them last week by Bowenheads, and probably could have done it in the end had Kane Pickering not been very unluckily run out. Was unfortunately called through for his sake by Jed Potter and finished up with about 75. So wouldn't discount Barrable in this one. I think up at Barrable, they're probably going to this one as favourites, but then Wellington are also playing for their season as well after a really good win. So that's going to be another one of the even battles coming up in this round of cricket, Graham.
And the Drysdale Hawks travel down to Jan Jack. Second on the ladder, Drysdale Hawks. Second last, Jan Jack. Any chance, Jan Jack?
No, I can't give them any chance at all, Graham. Ocean Grove were probably one of the sides going into that game last weekend against Jan Jack with one of the poorest form lines of any club in the competition, but they went very close to outriding the Sharks, which shows how much Jan Jack are struggling at the moment. In contrast, Drysdale playing some really promising cricket. Brendan Sharp in fantastic form with the ball, as showcased by his 5 wickets last week against Port Arlington. And I think on the form lines of the two sides, you can't go against Drysdale in this one, sorry.
And the luck of the draw going the bouncing, pouncing Kangaroos from Dave Harding Oval down to Elementa Road. Anglesea as they take on bottom side Newcombe Bulls. Yeah,
Newcombe have been competitive over the last few weeks, and especially since Christmas, so I wouldn't completely rule them out, but Anglesea will be very keen to bounce back from the 103 that they got bowled out for by Collindina and show that they're a much better side than that. If they lose this one, Anglesea, they'll put their top 6 spot in a little bit of jeopardy, but it is a chance for Peter Bracken and his boys to really sew it up with a victory over the next couple of weekends of cricket, and I think they should be good enough to do it.
The penultimate home and away round of matches in the Bellarine Peninsula Cricket Association as we go to a break here in the Geelong Cricket Show and be back talking to our special guest, Alf Clark from North Geelong, after this.